But I mean, the first thing is to always read a contract. So we have so many people, you just get excited about the deal, especially new creators. You're like skimming it and you're like, oh my God, $500 for video, sign, sign, sign. But you have to be reading every single term because, it's a legally binding agreement. So if there's a term that says like, oh, and now we have your AI forever, or like this is a usage right that you didn't think that you had, or now there's solo indemnification, then it's terms that you didn't really look at closely and now you're sort of locked into it. We've reviewed thousands of contracts at this point and we've put together the best terms because we want it to be easy for creators, if asked for a contract, to have something that's really protecting them.
Welcome to the Creator Money Show, where I teach creators how to build profitable businesses and lasting wealth. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm so excited for my conversation today with Grace Tabib. Grace, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Grace, I have been following you for a little while on LinkedIn, and I've been loving all the content you've been putting out. Grace is the founder of DuPay, which focuses on protecting income for people in the creator economy. So Grace, let's kind of start there. What is DuPay? What do you guys do? How do you help creators?
Sure. Well, we founded DuPay 3 years ago, and it was really seeing the need for creators, freelancers, and small businesses to have an affordable and accessible way to protect their income. So we really started focused singularly on recovering unpaid invoices. I'm doing this with my husband. We're both lawyers, but we didn't want to charge as lawyers because, billable
Okay.
hours, retainers, they're very expensive. And people were also having trouble with the smaller invoices. We've collected
Yeah.
invoices as small as $47. And that's not a situation where you're going to bring in a lawyer. So we really wanted to give everybody the ability to protect their income. Since then, we've recovered over $1 million for creators, freelancers, small businesses. And we've also now introduced invoicing and contract tools as well, because we want people to be able
Okay.
to protect their income from the beginning, not just after the invoice is late.
I love that. I love that. So tell me about that need to want to serve kind of everybody across the board. A lot of professions, especially in attorney, financial planning fields, right? We just go to the top tier of the market. So tell me about that desire to kind of help everyone across the board.
Sure. Well, my background's actually in advocacy. So before law
Okay.
school, I was researching human rights at UCLA. Then I was working with women's rights at Northwestern Law School. I was working with professors, and I went to Columbia Law and really, focused on international human rights, on advocacy. I did a summer at the ACLU, and after law school, I actually turned down my big firm offer, which nobody really
Wow.
understood. We were in the middle of a
Yeah.
recession, but I just didn't see law that way. And I ended up going back to a women's rights organization that I had interned with in college, and I became their
Okay.
Asia program officer. So I organized a huge summit, 400 women leaders in India, Asian women leaders from all over the continent. And that's really my background. After that, I worked in food sustainability in Europe. I've done pro bono advocacy for kids who've come over the border by themselves in LA. And I really wanted to bring that same kind of access to the creator economy and to
Oh
being
my
able to
gosh.
protect your income. So it's really my background. It's just what I've
Yeah.
always done. I didn't see law as, money grubbing. Not that it's bad, there's a lot of lawyers who do that. They're doing very well. People who make a lot of money also need protection. But I was really concentrating on the 99% of the creator economy who don't have agents, who don't have agencies, who don't have financial planners, and they still deserve that same protection.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I love that you're focusing on that, especially as a financial planner, because I wouldn't even know the first way to go about getting an invoice to actually be paid, or a brand who just reneges on the negotiations. I wouldn't even know where to start. So I love that you're really focusing on that, because it feels like an untapped market and something that is really needed. So why then creators? You've been in this world of advocacy, right? It doesn't sound like specifically creators. So how did you kind of niche
Right.
down into that specifically?
Well, it's not necessarily that we niche down ourselves. It's really creators, specifically UGC creators who came to us. We really actually saw it
Okay.
as, general freelancers, general small businesses. I'm a first time
Okay.
entrepreneur. I don't
Yeah.
really have the same marketing background as I do in terms of legal advocacy. It's sort of my blind spot, I guess you would say. So going into it, we were very much like, we can help everybody.
Yeah.
But it was really, and we really can help in any B2P, transaction, but it was really creators who came to us. And it was
Oh, I
really
love
doing that
that.
research to see, why is this happening more frequently in the creator economy? And it is because of all these certain factors. There's different payment terms. There's different, new and emerging businesses and clients, people who've never dealt with creators before, people who are dealing with too many creators coming from too many sources. And there's a lot of turnover also at these agencies. and at these brands because, people come in for a couple of years, they move on to another thing and invoices get lost in between. So it was
Mm,
really about creators finding us at first and then realizing that this is really an issue that happens throughout the creator economy. So we've
I
not
love
only
that.
helped creators, we've also helped agencies and we've helped brands because it really is this whole entire cycle. There have been
Yeah,
situations where we've recovered from an agency and then they became our client. Or same
I
thing, we
love that.
recovered from a brand and they were like, "Oh, I love how you did this. We actually have a vendor who hasn't paid us yet." So it's really, something that we were really brought into, but we do help everybody. We just got a stylist paid this morning and she had been chasing this invoice down for a while as well. So we can help everybody. It was really creators who came to us.
So what you're describing to me sounds a lot like a collections agency, like someone going after someone. Would you compare yourself to that?
So we distinguish ourselves both from traditional litigation because again, we're not charging those fees and because we're not looking for a minimum. Same thing with
Okay.
collections agencies. A lot of the time they have a minimum. They're not going to help somebody with a $47 invoice because it's just not worth it for them. And then they
Yeah.
also take a huge percentage on top of that. So they're taking between
Okay.
30 and 50% of what they're able to recover. We really are blending our legal background. My husband is a lawyer as well. So we're blending our legal background with advocacy. So we see ourselves more as insurance. So we're more like income
Mm,
protection insurance. And that's why we've also added these other tools to help you, from the very beginning of a project. And then if, you do everything right and you still have an unpaid invoice, then we come in. But a lot of
okay.
times, even when I work with agencies, they're like, okay, but then what else are you going to take? And we're like, it's seriously just the monthly fee. We are not here to take more of the work or more of the money that you've already earned. There's no need to be doing that. That's when it feels predatory. And I know that
Mm,
collections agencies have their place. And then it's just not our place. Like we're really trying to
yeah.
protect the income that you have. So that's how we're able to distinguish ourselves between the two. I mean,
Mm,
another way is you can keep doing it yourself, but that just wastes your own time. Or you can
yeah.
try to go to small claims court, and people will say that, but then it's like a judge can give you a judgment saying yes, they owe you money, but they're not going to go get it for you. So then it's still you
Yeah.
having to chase down this money. We're trying to remove that, and we do it in a professional way. So the reason
Mm,
why people that we've collected from have come to us is because we're not burning down bridges. We're really just putting forth the rights that you have in your contract, whether it's written or verbal, that you performed your end of the agreement and now it's time to get paid. So we're doing it very professionally. We're not burning anything down. It isn't predatory. It's just really standing up for people so that they get paid what they're due.
yeah. Well, and I think to stand up for yourself in an eloquent way and in a positive, it's not that you're being rude. It's just like this is the terms and this is what you agree to. I think that's easy to have someone else, a third party doing that for you, like
Yes.
advocating for you as you're using that word advocacy. It feels like that makes sense to have someone that's there like helping support you.
I mean, we totally think it makes sense. That's why we're doing it. And we always say bringing in a third party escalates the situation. So Abby can write 1,000 reminder emails, polite, friendly reminder emails like, my invoice was due last month. My invoice was due 2 months ago. And they can continue to ignore it. When DuPay comes
Yeah.
in, again, professionally with a demand letter, that's what we use. It's harder to ignore that because you have a
Mm,
third party involved now. And it's like you've escalated the situation. So that's really, what the benefit to having us is. And a lot of times we'll get somebody or I'll get a message from somebody who's like, I really don't want to have to use DuPay. I don't want to have to bring you in. And it's more like, why? Like, you want to spend your own time doing this? Like, we're not taking
yeah.
anything from you. It's really like, where is your time better spent? Creating content or doing the work that you love or chasing down work that you've already completed? So I
Yeah.
don't want it to have a negative spin. It's more like somebody's advocating for my rights. Like so in a
Mm,
situation like that. Like I wish like I haven't gotten a speeding ticket in a while, but that took me forever to like go and explain that I wasn't speeding and something like that and having to take like a class. If somebody were to say like for $29, I will take care of this for you. I'd be like, please take care of this. It's just
please,
like an
please.
administrative thing. It's just something that we believe that you should just always have. Like if you have contracts in place from the beginning, the correct contracts, then it'll make the rest of the job easier. If you have somebody in your corner taking over, if you have an unpaid invoice, then you're not spending your time doing it. So that's really how we distinguish ourselves. And again, affordably.
I love that. You mentioned a demand letter, like when they receive a demand letter. Talk to me more about what that is.
So the way that we do it is we have like a tight demand letter that we've put together. So we've been doing this for 3 years now. We know what works. We know what language we need to use. I've received, demand letters that people have written themselves. They will literally write every like story that they've ever had from the time of birth until the end of days. And it'll be like 5 pages long, 10 pages long, every grievance that could possibly have happened during this collaboration. You don't need to do that. It's pretty much like work was completed on this day. It was signed on this day. This amount is due. Here's the payment link. So we've
Mm.
made it very simple and concise. I think there's a reason why my husband and I aren't practicing as lawyers. I mean, we'd, be doing like very well financially if the two of us were practicing as Columbia
Yeah,
law
yeah.
graduates. But we just don't agree with that. Like you don't have to over embellish anything. Like things should just be clear and brief. So that's what we really do. We have a 3 demand letter protocol. The goal is to get people paid with the payment link in the letter, or if they come back and there's some kind of dispute, then we advocate for you. And we keep, if, during that time, a lot of our situations are solved during those 3 demand letters. If it's not, then we escalate. So we, go to socials, we go to DMs, we go to snail mail, phone calls. The woman that I mentioned earlier, we ended up, DMing them on socials. He wasn't responding
And
to
that
her DM.
worked.
He responded to ours. Yes, we've gotten people paid over text. Like
Wow.
literally a couple of weeks ago, we had an email. We sent a snail mail, but like Reddit letter to the CEO of a company that had been stealing content from one of our subscribers. And because he received that actual formal, physical letter, he was like, oh, shoot, this is happening. Like he didn't know all the other levels of,
Mm.
communications because they were at
Yeah.
the lower levels. When he received
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
he took it very seriously. So
Mm.
yeah, we continue. And that's why it's a subscription. And we continue advocating as long as you're an active subscriber for as many unpaid invoices as you have.
So you kind of talked about like the CEO, he didn't really know that was happening. I think the other thing that's coming up for me is I'm wondering if you think this is true or not. Like in the creator economy, it's kind of this new profession, right? There's a ton of new people being brought to create marketing collateral, right, for businesses. Do you think like there's ill intent there from these businesses thinking, ooh, these guys don't know what they're talking about and they don't know how to do this and they've never really run a business like this, so I'm going to take advantage of them? Or do you think more often than not it is people who have left and moved on and it just like fell through the cracks? Like how much is it people taking advantage of the creators and just like businesses systems break down?
I mean, I think we like to say that the majority of them are not malicious. Like it's really an
Okay.
admin delay, or if it's like, a change of like like the contact person or something like that, that it's not malicious. We have seen when it's malicious. We think, I mean, particularly ghosting, like when you're doing something intentionally and, really like trying to run
Yeah.
away and not provide any information about when a payment is coming, that is pretty malicious. And we see a lot of that actually happening. But you never know if it's because they've run out of money or because, like something didn't work out for them. You don't know what the story is behind it. And that's why having a third party in there, you can sort of just take the personal out of it and keep it business. So another woman that we got paid via text, we just like ended up reaching out to the owner and she said, I'm having a lot of issues with money as well. I'm so sorry this has happened. I was like afraid to respond to other letters, and we worked out a payment plan.
Mm.
So we weren't coming at her aggressively like the way that you described collections agencies. We're really
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
understand what the problem is so that people can get paid. And that's why I'm always saying we
Gotcha.
are not trying to burn down a bridge. We are trying to keep everything professional. But at the end of the day, you need to get paid. And we're going to try to figure out how to make that happen. So whether that's, mediating a payment agreement or trying to figure out where the problem, like where the discontent was, like maybe they didn't like the content you produced. But if, you were given a brief and you fulfilled your duties, then it doesn't really matter if they're like, oh, I just didn't like it anymore. You
Yeah,
still need
yeah,
to get
yeah.
paid, or we need to work it out for
Yeah.
you. So, hopefully it's not malicious, but you never know. But we go in thinking that it's not.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, I feel like something that I've learned recently is just that, like, once you get to know someone or once you're curious rather than judgmental, once you
Mhm.
just ask a couple more questions, oftentimes there's a reason why they ghosted you or a reason why they didn't show up or the reason why they had the bad attitude or whatever it may be, or they didn't make the payment, right? Like, oftentimes there's explanations behind people's actions that are very reasonable and very understandable. But I don't know if you do this, Grace, but I feel like me myself, I always jump to like, well, they hate me or, they're ghosting me because I did XYZ or whatever, right? Like I always jump to the probably more negative thing, which I love that you're taking that stance in your business, that it's not always this negative thing.
Right. I
Like,
mean, we're taking the reasonable way. So, I mean, that's just what like legal training is. You can't really make a decision until you know the facts. So I think
okay.
that's why it's easy for us to separate that personal from like the professional. And I also just know maybe not in this situation, I don't spin, but I can spin in other situations. Like we were just
Yeah.
talking about our kids. I will spin the heck out of that. Like if there's a situation and I will like make these elaborate plans. But when it comes to unpaid invoices and just in a business setting, I mean, we're very just like, okay, let's figure out what the problem is before we make a judgment. And then how do we address it from there? And that's
No,
why
that's
we've
so
actually
great.
like really like bucketed it into 3 reasons why unpaid invoices happen. So one is
Yeah.
ghosting, like we discussed. And yes, that can be more malicious than not. And And then we have, admin delays, and then it could be a dispute. So we really, pivot based on why we think it's an unpaid invoice, but we have to be rational this entire time. The creator or the freelancer or the small business owner, you can be as irrational as you want. It doesn't really help the situation. But I think when they know that we're advocating, because they're CC'd on everything. So while we're managing the whole relationship and the communications, they're always updated on the next step through their dashboard, and then they're CC'd. So it's full transparency.
I love
So
that.
they're seeing what we're seeing, and they see how we're just, remaining rational and
Well,
professional, reasonable.
and it's easier for you as a third party because you're not involved. It's not your money. Like it's easy for you to make the better decision. Just like me as a financial planner for my clients, like I'm able to rationally make a better decision because my emotions are not as involved. Like so, there's
Right.
another reason to hire you, right?
Right,
Is
exactly.
because you can do that. So
Right. And again, and maybe you don't do it as much in like for your clients, it is easier. It's just like when you
yeah,
give advice, it's easier to give somebody else advice than to take it yourself.
totally. Yes,
But that's why
yes,
you need to find the right person who's very specialized in this. So that's why like we always
totally.
say like, with like chat or with like if you're using general AI, yes, you can use it. Yes, maybe it'll be right, but it's not trained to be your advocate. We are.
Hmm.
It's not trained to be your financial advisor. You are.
Yep,
So you
yep,
should go to your professionals, like, what in those situations. Like maybe it'll
yeah.
help you bring up a recipe for chili. Great. Like that's not going to like, be hurt you if it's not the right ingredient. But if you're not putting the right terms in your contract, if you're not, putting a demand letter together in the proper way, then it's not going to be as effective as if you go to an actual professional.
No, I totally agree. So, what are some tips that you've given creators and things that they can kind of do on their own before maybe they're ready, like to hire you? I mean, as we've discussed, I think it should be at every stage because we got to get paid. Like, what's the point of
Right.
doing this if we're not getting paid?
Right.
But maybe what are some things that creators could be on the lookout for to help protect themselves? What do you recommend?
Well, I'll sort of do it based on the tools that we offer. So
Yeah,
they could use ours which we would love, or they can just like keep this in mind as they're doing things. But I mean, the first thing is to always read a contract. So we have so many people, you just get excited about the deal, especially new creators. You're like skimming it and you're like, oh my God, $500 for video, sign, sign, sign. But you have to be reading every single term because, it's a legally binding agreement. So if there's a term that says like, oh, and now we have your AI forever, or like, this is a usage right that you didn't think that you had, or now there's mutual or there's like solo indemnification, then it's terms that you didn't really look at closely and now you're sort of locked into it. So that's really why we created our contract tools. Those came later because we were sort of thinking like, where do problems really begin? And a lot of times it's
yeah.
in the contract. So we
Mm,
added a contract creator. We put together 2 pages of DuPay's, terms of service that you should have in your contracts. That's talking about, like how long do they have to review content, like what is the usage right, like what there's no AI unless there's an express written agreement, things like that, like what's the jurisdiction, it's mutual indemnification, like what happens if there's early termination. Those are all things that we've reviewed thousands of contracts at this point, and we've put together the best terms because we want it to be easy for creators, if asked for a contract, to have something that's really protecting them. And
yeah.
we also have a contract check report. So you can put in your contract that you receive from brands, because that's something we see like more than like probably 80% of the time you're receiving contracts. And we scan along 15 points so that we're giving you an
Mm,
x-ray of like what passes, or like what's favorable, what's unfavorable, like where should you take a second look. And it doesn't replace a lawyer, but like it's much better than, as I said, like general chat GPT, which is not
yeah.
trained to actually be reviewing your contracts. So the
Right.
first thing is really taking contracts seriously, also asking for a contract or making sure there is a contract. A lot of deals do happen on DMs and texts, and that is a verbal agreement. But it's always better to have like a formal written agreement. So we're trying to make it easier for them. And the second thing is like really being professional about your communications and your invoices. So it's really about like, we've seen beautiful Canva invoices that's like flowery. It looks like your background, beautiful, gorgeous, like they're artists. But it doesn't, it's like missing something. Like it's missing an
Yeah.
invoice number, or it's missing like the currency. So we also created an invoice generator and tracking system because we want, creators and freelancers to have those tools in place from the beginning. So they're not, causing reason for there to be an unpaid invoice.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really like just treating yourself as a business, because you are. A lot of people start content or become creators because they enjoy making content. They think it's a fun side gig. Like maybe I'll have some money, like extra money at the end of the month, but it's a business. It's your time. And especially like, as we were talking, being a mother, like having other things going on in your life, you need to take any time that you do, like that's outside of family time or personal time, very seriously. Because if you're doing
Yeah.
something to make money, you need to have the systems in place. And we're just trying to make it easier.
Those are so many great things. So do you help creators in knowing with all these invoices that come in, it sounds to me like they're in charge of like initially trying to get paid, but if they can't, that's then when they involve you. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly?
So, you know what, the way that creators work, they submit an invoice, or I mean, it's more based on the brand if it's like net 30. So they should be getting paid net 30. If they don't get paid, then, I mean, we always say, I actually had this conversation with somebody on Instagram today. She was like, at what point do I bring DuPay in? And I was like, I
Yeah.
mean, we always say sooner rather than later, honestly. Like people will say, I'm going to give them another week, another 3 weeks, another month, another 2 months. And at the end of the day, it's your time. They're not thinking about it. Like, oh, have I paid Abby yet? Like it's been 2 months. No, it's
Yeah.
like your time wondering if you're going to get paid. So for us, we always say, you know, like if it's past the due date, send a friendly reminder and then bring us in. But yes, I mean, like they're the ones setting up the terms to begin with. We're not doing that for you. But with our invoice system, yes, you can include all of that. You're like creating the invoice, and it has like a protected by DuPay stamp. You send that along and it's tracked in, you know, the system that we have, which is very simple. But
Okay.
we always just say, I mean, I want to get back to it sooner rather than later. There was an example where a woman who I love, she's an annual subscriber. She waited 45 days. She kept following up and she kept saying, oh, but like, I'm just going to give them one more chance. And I was like, okay. And we sent a demand letter. I think she got paid in 10 minutes. It was literally
Wow.
like, they were just like, oh, okay, I better do this now. So again, like they weren't like, it wasn't taking, you know, time off their back, wondering like, when am I going to be able to pay this person? It was just, you know, a slip, I guess.
No,
Again, hopefully
totally.
not malicious, but just having us involved. But I mean, I just really do believe that all time is valuable. I know that sounds so cliche, but like I have 2 kids, like we talked about, like I don't have time to, you know, waste on things. So if there's something that's going to make it easier for me, I'm taking it. And
Yeah,
we
I
make it
mean, for
easier.
sure. Well, and it's just like I think there is this mentality, especially with new creators, of like, thank I'm doing this favor and like, oh my gosh, thank you for
Right.
trusting me to create this video, right? And it's like, no. At some point, and hopefully very early on, you realize this. You are running a business. So you need to treat yourself and you need to treat the clients and the brands and everyone else you're working with as a business. You can
Right.
advocate for yourself. You can ask for more, right?
Yes.
Like you can negotiate the terms, right? Like the
Right.
contract that they send over, that's not written in stone. I mean, you know that better than anybody else, right? That like you can go back and forth, you can change it, and that's all okay. And you should be doing that, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and and I think they take you more seriously and they appreciate it, right? I love like your example too of you went after agencies and brands to get them paid for a creator and then they ended up hiring you. I mean, that goes to show obviously that they are like, oh, okay, we need this too for ourselves, and
Right.
they did it in
Exactly.
a tasteful way. So
Right. Well, that's
I
the thing
think
that we
that's
see, especially with new creators. I just got this message again. Okay, when I have more work, then I can use DuPay. And that's why we actually built out a tools only subscription. So we have a tools only subscription that's
mm,
$14 a month. Our tools plus protection is $29 a month. But we don't
okay.
want people to wait. We don't want you to be like a year into your career as a content creator and you still don't have the right contracts in place. If you have that at the beginning, then everything will be smoother down the line. There's never like the right point. You should be doing it from the beginning. Or that's at least how
Yeah.
I operate. Like before I know I'm going to do something, I want to know what needs to be done to make it the best. So I'm not recreating the wheel over and over and over again. So that's why like taking yourself as a business seriously, they will also treat you as a business seriously. And I think you also hit it too, especially I see this more with maybe freelancers, somebody who's like amazing at copywriting or amazing at like building like a website. There is so much value in your work. So you should be proud of it. Like they aren't doing you a favor by hiring them. You're bringing value to them.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be this fear about asking for your money after you've done your work or like putting terms up front. Like I'd like a deposit. I think there should be milestone payments, like, that kind of thing. You only have a week to like, review my work because that time dragging anything on takes time from your other work or like going
Yeah.
out to get new work or all this admin stuff that you have to do. So I
Yeah.
think, yes, again, like there is value in what you do. Even a new creator, it takes so much time to make content. I have tried doing it for like Instagram, for like, even when I write like a post on X, like it takes time. It's not just like
Mhm.
20 seconds to create something. There's a whole process involved and that time is valuable. And people are choosing you to create, like even if it's just a gifted collab, it's because they're giving you something. So, it's
Yeah.
work. It's not a favor. So you should be
Right.
protecting it from the beginning.
Oh my gosh, so many good things to unpack there. Like, so well said. I love it. Love it, love it. So let's transition a little bit more to like the business side of DuPay and you yourself being an entrepreneur. You kind of said you're a first-time entrepreneur. So tell me kind of this journey of your first 3 years, like overall, like what has been maybe your biggest lesson in starting this business and now 3 years in? What do you feel like is kind of one of the biggest things that you've learned personally?
So I am type A. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
I'm very type A, and I feel like I can do everything all at once all the time. And this has really taught me, and I've really been able to get away with that for like 45 years. Like I will do
Yeah.
everything all the time for everybody always. But being a business owner and also trying to balance that with being a good mom still, and
Yep.
giving them some time means I can't do everything. And one of my founder friends, on a walk when I was complaining about creating my own social media, which is like so funny because like it's so funny. I work with content creators. I'm like past the generation where I grew up with this. I definitely didn't.
Yeah.
I did not have like a Facebook until law school, and I barely used that. I didn't have Instagram literally until I started DuPay. So
Okay.
that has been the greatest frontier for me, is like marketing and social media, which is where we get most of our clients.
Hmm.
But I was really just so frustrated. I hated it. I like did not like it, like just sucked my energy. And there's all these other things I could be doing. So introduced me the term like zone of genius or genius zone. And I realized that
Yeah.
was so far out of my zone of genius and just draining me. What I love to do is partnerships and, like telling people about DuPay and like doing master classes and like really getting to know the community. And trying to like come up with posts was really just like taking all the time away from the stuff that I like doing. And I think that's the same like for business owners. Like you can be your biggest bottleneck. That was such a bottleneck for me. And like 9 hours would pass and I'd be like just stuck on like what I should be doing for like socials, and I would have gotten nothing done. So once I've
Yeah.
like brought in some help, like the help I can afford, because again, we're bootstrapped, keeping everything affordable for creators. So it doesn't give me much wiggle room in terms of a budget. But finding people who can work with me at those budgets have been like, and also just me learning along the way has been such a like release of stress.
Oh
So
my
I
gosh,
think
I
that
love
you
that.
should find the ways that you can make your business work more efficiently so that you are not a bottleneck, because you can
Mm.
only grow when you figure out like how you can bring in people to help you at whatever budget you can. Like I cannot wait till
Yeah.
I have the budget for an admin assistant. I don't have one yet. So I'm the one writing all the emails, responding on DMs, but I have somebody helping me create content because I do not know how to edit. I don't know how to edit a video to save my life. So
Okay.
I know where my holes are and I know how to find the people who can help me there. And I think
I
that's
love
been
that.
like huge for me. Just learning that I need to ask for help, and that'll make things better. I think
That's
also,
okay.
like, I don't know if you noticed, I talk fast. I talk fast. I move fast. I eat fast. I work out fast. But being an entrepreneur, like I sprint. I am not a marathon runner. I will sprint for 30 minutes and then I will feel like so much relief. I don't know those people who can go on like a 3 hour run. That's just not for me. But being an entrepreneur means like slowing down. It
Mhm.
means I can't accomplish everything as quickly as I want to because I am dependent on like a partner. I'm dependent on like how many subscribers we have. I'm dependent on like when can I get on a podcast. So it's one thing to have things on your own schedule, but being an entrepreneur means like having to like be on maybe other people's schedules, or like be flexible about something and about your expectations.
We seem very similar of like we have a plan and this is how it's going to
Right?
go and
Yes.
like, oh nope, that's not how that's going
And
to
you're
go,
like,
right? And this
yeah,
other thing's going to happen.
right.
Like,
Yes.
okay, here
Right.
we
And that's
go.
just like I feel like that's a life lesson, and it's so funny. So like again, I'm 45. I don't know if like I don't know, younger girls or younger women love to talk to me. And it's great because I feel like all of a sudden I just went on a walk with another woman. She's actually a financial advisor. She's only 23. And she was just
Okay.
like asking me questions, and like she felt like 23-year-old Grace, which was like, she's like almost half my age. But I was like, she was getting stressed out about things not working out the way that she wanted them to. And I was like, oh my gosh, sometimes things don't, I'm like becoming this sage, like be flexible. When like 23-year-old me would have been like, why isn't this happening as quickly as I want it to be? But I
No,
think she
it's
was like,
so
oh,
true.
thanks for telling me that. And I was like, because nobody told me. And I feel like I never in my life would have expected, first of all, I never expected to be a stay-at-home mom. And I did that for 6 years. Like that is probably the most shocking thing that I've ever done. Like literally it was not moving to Europe, not like turning down an offer. It was becoming a stay-at-home mom. But that experience has like gave me so much joy. And I'm so happy that I did that. But second to that would be becoming an entrepreneur. I always thought I'd be
Mm.
running this like international nonprofit, like be, like just doing all these like amazing things for somebody else. And it's so cool to be doing the things that I want to be doing, but for myself in the way that I want to be doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm really
Tell me more.
grateful. Like
Yeah.
I've seen so many stats that like women start their first business at 42. I literally was 42. And
Wow.
I think maybe women like take longer to realize that they want to create their own mold. And then it's cool to get to meet other women who are doing the same thing. So I always
Yeah.
say, and my husband doesn't necessarily like when I say this, but I'm like, whatever happens to DuPay, I've met some really interesting people on the journey. And he's like, I mean, like, hope something good happens, but like, it's
Yeah.
true. Like, as you get older, you just realize that you want to like surround yourself with cool people who are
Yeah.
doing cool things and learn from them. And I think that's like been a great part of this also. So it's been like, figuring out like different parts of myself. So learning that like I can be my greatest bottleneck in this situation, but I'm also like really learning from people in this situation. So I
Right.
think it's just
Right.
like a really great experience.
Yeah. No, tell me more about like what creating DuPay means to you. Like, what is that when you think about your why and your purpose behind it and like the thing you get excited about it becoming one day? Like, what is that for you?
I mean, we literally want to protect all creators, freelancers, and small businesses. And I know that's like a huge
Well,
thing to say.
that's the
Yeah.
mission, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the mission. But, like, you personally, let's be a
Yeah.
little selfish right now,
Okay.
like, because I think you've set it up, and I think I get that vibe from you about, like, DuPay. But we all work for a reason, right? We work to make money, right? We work to provide for our families. So, like, what is that for you specifically, that, like, your why that gets you up every morning to continue to work on that mission? Like,
Yeah.
what is that for you?
I think it's also just like being a good example for my kids. It really is.
Okay.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Like I wrote about this on one of my LinkedIn posts. My daughter, like for her class, they had to create flowers and like write a little like adjective, what they thought about for their parents. And for me, it was so funny. Like I kept looking at it. I think she wrote like fair, like hard worker or something. Like, I don't know if she wrote advocate. She put like intelligent. It was something like that, or like really cares. I don't know. It was something like that. And it was so interesting because it wasn't like you'd expect it to be like pretty or like funny or like loves me. But for her to
Yeah.
write fair, I just love that she said that so much, because my friend actually texted me when she saw it, and she was like, no child has ever written that their parent is fair. But it's like it was so nice and like gratifying, because I was sort of worried about that as a full-time mom. Like, oh, she's not going to think that like she can go do something else. And now she's like, oh, I can have been like a mom, and then I can go do something like on my own terms. And that is
Yeah.
just so meaningful to me. Or like my son is always like, oh, we can do this for DuPay. Like they see it as a family business, or like he's like itching to take over to become my social media assistant. And he'll be like, I can edit it for you, or like I can make a thing. And it's just so nice for that it's become like this family project, and they understand
Yeah.
why we're doing it. They know that we're trying to make it fair for people. They know that we're
Mm.
advocating for people. They understand why we're doing it the way that we're doing. And I think just being able to have that. And when I hear them talk about it to their friends, it just makes me so proud. Like, oh, my mom and dad started this business. They're lawyers, but they're doing it like this. And like they're our greatest advocates. Like for me, they're my
Yeah, yeah,
advocates.
yeah.
And
For
I
sure.
love that so much. It's just I never
That's
expected
awesome.
this. I thought maybe I just like go back and like work at a firm, or like, do something else. I'm so happy that I'm doing it like this, just to be able to be, like like just like I guess a hero sort of. I know that sounds silly, but like something for them, because I was always
Yeah.
just sort of uncomfortable being a full-time mom. And I know that
Yeah.
I should have been, and I know that was me getting in my own head. And my son yesterday, we were watching MasterChef, and I think one of the women, it was said like full-time mom, and he was like, that's not a job. And I was like, that is absolutely a job. That's the hardest job of all. And he was like, I'm sorry. But for me, I just wanted like I didn't want all the education that I had and all the passion I had to like go
Yeah.
to waste. And I'm so happy that I was able to do both. And the reason why DuPay is so important to us too is because we are able to balance the two things. Like my husband just left to go pick up my daughter from camp, because we work here, we work from home, and we
Yeah.
make it so that we just did like 3 days in the mountains, like for 4th of July with our friends. We were able to take Friday off because, we were able to manage our own schedule. That means that last night I was working when we came back, but we were able to take that time for our family. So I love being able to build DuPay in a way that we can balance our work and our family with something that I really love doing.
No, I love that. I think that's so well said. Like giving your children that like dream and desire to create something that's their own, and you can feel like as a family together. I feel like the same with my kids. Like my kids are rooting me on and cheering me on and bringing them along in that journey. I don't think I ever realized that either, of like how much me building my business is really going to impact them and hopefully change their lives for the better, because they're invested and they get it too. So
And they're
I
watching
love
you.
that
Like, you
why.
realize that they're watching you. They
Yeah,
actually, all the
totally.
times that I'm like, get off the TV, get off the TV, get off the TV, and they're not listening. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, they are watching. Like when she like, I just, that flower is probably the sweetest present that and it was a paper flower. It was just
So
on
sweet.
construction paper. It was just so
Yeah.
nice to feel like she saw me.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Well, as we wrap things up, like, are there any kind of final words or any last messages that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
I think I keep going back to this. Your time is valuable. It really, really, really is. And whether that means like subscribing to DuPay or just like saying no if something feels wrong to you, like trust your gut, you never get time back. It's the most valuable commodity that you have.
Yeah,
It is not
totally.
finite. So do things that will protect you in the future. I think like being a business is so amazing and so gratifying, but you have to be doing it in the right way, in the most professional way, and putting
Yeah.
in the systems from the beginning to make sure that you are being taken seriously. So that's really why we're here. We love helping people. We love getting people paid. It makes me so happy. But like you just have to treat yourself professionally. Whether you're a small business, you're a freelancer, you're a creator, doing what you love doesn't mean like letting people take advantage of you.
So well said. I love it. Grace, thank you so much for your time. Everybody go check out DuPay. I will have their website and socials listed in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. And until next time, Grace, thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Abby.
Hey everyone! After this recording, Grace offered all my listeners a special promo for DuPay's services. It's $10 off for your first month of tools and protection with code ABBY10. So be sure to check that out in the show notes. Thanks for watching. If you're a creator trying to figure out the money side of your business, make sure you subscribe. And let me know in the comments what topic you want me to cover next. Catch you in the next one.